Operation launched. Everything went wrong anyway, because real life doesn't care about revised plans. And when comms went dark and timelines collapsed, it was her voice that came over the secure channel. Calm, precise, cutting through chaos like a blade, directing movements, predicting enemy shifts before ISR confirmed them. And at one point, when the SEALs team was pinned down, low on ammo, options closing fast, it was her call that rerouted air support at the last second, saving their lives. And later, back home, safe but shaken, the SEAL finally understood the moment in the hallway, the instinctive step back, because rank isn't always worn on a collar. Sometimes it's etched into bone, earned in silence. And months later, when he told the story to a new guy who laughed at the idea of a civilian in a classified brief, he stopped himself, corrected the tone, and said, "Let me tell you about the day I learned to shut up and pay attention, because the twist wasn't that she outranked them all. It was that she never needed to say it. She carried authority the way the best warriors do, lightly, responsibly, knowing the cost, and somewhere out there, still unnamed, still unlisted, she continued to step into rooms like that hallway, quietly changing outcomes, reminding everyone that the most dangerous people in America don't look dangerous at all. And if you stayed until the end of this story, subscribe now, because stories like this, the ones about humility, respect, and the legends who walk among us, are the ones worth telling." Stop scrolling. Before this story unfolds, hit subscribe right now, because what you're about to hear isn't just a story. It's a reminder of why America still believes in quiet strength, earned respect, and the moments that make legends out of ordinary rooms. So if you love true-style military narratives, unexpected twists, and stories that hit hard and stay with you, subscribe and stay with us. Now here's the story. The Navy SEAL only meant it as a joke when he asked her rank, the kind of offhand grin a seasoned operator gives when he's killing time in a government hallway that smells like burnt coffee and floor wax, a hallway where egos often walked louder than boots, and she had looked unremarkable at first glance. Civilian clothes, calm posture, hair pulled back with zero flair, a woman alone among uniforms, and the SEAL, broad-shouldered, trident shining under fluorescent lights, leaned back against the wall and said, "So, what are you, Lieutenant, Captain? Or are you just lost?" And a few others nearby chuckled because that's how these rooms worked. Rank established pecking orders, humor used as currency, and she smiled politely, not offended, not impressed, just patient, and said nothing at first, which only encouraged him, because silence is often mistaken for weakness by people who've never learned otherwise, and he added, "Relax, I'm kidding. Just don't see many civilians wandering into a joint task briefing." And that's when she slowly rolled up her sleeve, not dramatically, not to prove anything, but because the cuff was in the way, and as the fabric slid back, the room changed, because the scars weren't theatrical, they weren't neat, they were old, layered, pale and dark, burn scars crossing surgical lines, shrapnel marks that told a story no PowerPoint ever could. And on her wrist, half hidden by the last inch of fabric, was a faded ink most people never see outside classified photos. A unit identifier long retired, one that predated most of the men in the room. And the SEAL's smile vanished as if someone had cut the power, because he recognized it. Every operator did, even if only from whispered legends. And he straightened, took an unconscious half-step back, because muscle memory sometimes knows more than the brain is ready to admit, and the laughter died, replaced by that heavy, respectful quiet that only shows up when real experience walks into the room. And she finally spoke, her voice steady, almost gentle. "Rank doesn't really apply here," she said. "But if you're curious, I started before most of you finished high school, and that should have been the end of it. But stories like this don't end where they should, because a colonel entered then, snapping everyone to attention, introducing her not by name but by function, the kind of introduction that raises more questions than it answers, calling her a strategic advisor, which was laughably insufficient. And as they filed into the briefing room, the SEAL found himself watching her instead of the screen, replaying the ink in his mind, remembering an instructor years ago who'd once said, "If you ever meet someone from that program, you listen, you don't ask questions, and you thank whatever you believe in that they're on your side." And the briefing began, centered on a joint operation overseas, a volatile region, deniable assets, impossible timelines. And as the slides rolled, it became clear the plan was flawed, not tactically, but fundamentally, relying on assumptions that only looked good from behind a desk, and hands started to rise. Objections couched in polite language, until she spoke again, not loudly, not forcefully, but with the confidence of someone who had seen these plans fail in real time. And she dismantled it piece by piece, not criticizing the people, but the thinking, referencing situations no official report ever covered, places that never made the news, outcomes that didn't fit recruitment posters, and the room leaned in because even the most hardened operators know truth when they hear it, and the colonel let her talk, which told everyone everything they needed to know about where authority really sat. And by the time she finished, the plan was different, leaner, meaner, and far more survivable. And the SEAL realized with a chill that she wasn't there to advise success. She was there to prevent catastrophe. And during a break, he approached her. No jokes this time, just a quiet, "I owe you." An apology, and she waved it off, saying, "You didn't know," which somehow felt worse than a reprimand. And he asked, finally, "What unit?" And she shook her head, smiling faintly. "One that doesn't exist anymore." And that should have satisfied him. But later that night, over bad coffee and worse vending machine snacks, he overheard two senior officers speaking in low tones, mentioning a mission from decades ago, one that went sideways, one that required a ghost to clean it up. A single operator inserted alone to extract an entire team written off as Kia, and the SEAL felt his stomach drop as the details lined up with the scars he'd seen. And the next day, when the